Hello, champions. It's the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and you're listening to The Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve. Uncle Phil approved, and way more fun than getting the shit smacked out of you. Let's get the show rolling, boys.
All right, we get it rolling, and welcome to the podcast, The Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve. You're back for another exciting episode.
Keep our podcast out your mouth, okay? But keep it in your ears, please. Okay.
Yeah, I see what you did. I like that. Yes, please keep it in your ears. Continue to do so.
Yep. You can find us on all the major podcast sites, and our website is thevocalminority.net. And social medias, TikTok and YouTube are our favorites. Go check out our stuff there. But if you're on Threads, Instagram, Twitter, X, any of those things, Reddit, we're on there as well. So find us.
Yeah. Call our comment line and use your telephone as a microphone. 844-48-VOCAL. Comment on the show. We'll play it on the show if you're entertaining. Or maybe we'll play it if you're not entertaining. Maybe we'll play anything. Who knows? You'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, sometimes not being entertaining is entertaining when criticized and ridiculed correctly by us professionals.
Completely.
So there you go. We have some relationship stuff to talk about on today's episode, but Nick, I need to start off with a relationship update. I have crossed a major threshold in the world of romance with Miss Kim.
Oh, you have you? Is this sexual or is this just emotional? Is it both?
I think depending upon what you're into, it could be both sexual or emotional, a sign of intimacy, a sign of coming together. Do you have any predictions as to what this great threshold is?
Well, I mean, if I had to guess, it would probably be that you're moving in together on some level anyway. Okay.
Soon for that conversation. Like, what are you talking about?
Well, I'm not here to judge, dude. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I mean, she's your girlfriend. What's the next step, dude? I don't know. She met your kids a long time ago. She's got good relationships with the people around you. I don't know.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. First of all, she is kind of moving in some weird way. You know, she has this new job where it's closer to my house than hers. So she does seem to be moving in about half the week. And I think that's a good little introductory to the whole cohabitating thing. But there's another more important threshold to cohabitating and co-loving, maybe sharing facilities.
I think I got it, dude. Okay. Did you, first of all, Harness farts so loud, dude. So did you fart in front of her? And also, did one of you poop and it made a real smelly bathroom that you had to acknowledge, like, woof?
You're on the right topic, Nick Reynolds. You know me so well. I'm going to say we crossed both of those thresholds, quite frankly, because yes, I did rip one in front of her. And it was well received. You know?
Really? High five, well received, or?
Yeah, yes. I mean, she giggled. She was like, "It's about time." I mean, you know, she's been telling me for a while. I don't know if I'm supposed to announce this, but she was a smoker for years. Now she vapes, and she does not want to vape in front of me. It is some weird thing. She would much rather take a dump in front of me than vape in front of me. And she had told me recently, as soon as you start farting in front of me, then I'll start vaping in front of you. So, and I'll tell you too, you're right. Mine are very percussive and I'm very good at controlling them. But we were in bed the other night watching a show and one just slipped out, which does not normally happen to me. But one went flying. And I immediately was like, oh, excuse me. But here we go.
You were relaxed, dude. I mean, that's just a sign of you being more relaxed with each other and things are going well. That one would just pop out in bed. I mean, did you grab the covers and pull them over her head, or did you just let it fly?
I know that some men in my life have suggested that maybe that's the way to break the wind with her.
Right.
No, I did not forcibly shove her head under the covers. Not for that reason, anyways. But no, I did rip one. I have now seen her vape more than once in front of me, so we've crossed that threshold. But then the other topic you brought up too. So as I've discussed on the show before, like I have wet wipes. That is how I do the final cleanup after a healthy bowel movement.
Yeah.
And, she had brought up a while ago, I use Huggy wipes, the ones with Winnie the Pooh on them, because I think Pooh knows Pooh. You know what I mean?
Sure. Makes sense.
She brought up, there are some that are flushable, right? Like you don't have to use the ones you're supposed to put in a diaper genie or whatever for kids. And she, as a joke, had originally bought the exact same Huggies with Winnie the Pooh on them and put them in her bathroom. But I noticed recently she bought the kind that can be flushed and disposed of.
Yeah. And
so the other day, I think maybe I've taken a dump in her place one other time, but it was a quick casual one. And as you know, like I have this thing early in relationships, I usually take an Imodium because A, I don't want to fart all the time, and B, I don't want to have to take a dump at her place the next morning because I'm very routine. Every morning my system kicks into high gear.
Yeah, you block yourself up, dude, so you won't have to poo or fart.
Right. But I have stopped that. For a couple of months now, I stopped that. So I've been, I've been getting by, doing all right. But yeah, so the other morning, woke up at her place and decided, like, all right, I'm going to go do my business. The only slightly awkward part was when I opened up the lid on those wipes, no one else had opened them yet.
So yeah, it was going to be proof that you were there, dude. I mean, proof of life exists in the bathroom.
So whether I got away with it, because she was out having coffee in the other room, because she always gets up before me. So I thought, I'm just going to, she's out I'm going to go do my thing. She'll never even know.
Yeah.
But she left a trap for me. So she'll notice that it's been opened. Or she'll listen to this podcast.
Yeah. I think that's probably more likely because you're assuming that she'll go in and actually open the lid up and check. Did he use them yet? I don't know if she's trying to catch you pooping, but once it happens, like hearing it on the podcast, I think she'll be like, of course, you go to the bathroom, dude. We're around each other for 48 hours. Go to the bathroom.
And she had brought that up early on. She's not shy about it. I don't think she's the do it with the door open and have a conversation with me type. I mean, maybe she is, but I put that out there that I'm not into that. But she had said early on, like, when are we going to get over this dumping around each other thing? Like, it's been 2 days. I'm getting a little backed up here. Like she's an adult. She's has some wisdom associated with being alive for a long time. I'm not allowed to say mature, so I have to come up with other ways to say that. So,
wisdom, dude, wisdom.
Age-associated wisdom. So she knows that everyone poos and was happy to break that threshold. So big relationship news, and we're still together. So apparently everything's good. So.
And you still find each other sexy, right? I mean, you still find each other sexy. So there it is.
I think we're good.
Well, I'm going to give you a quick badge of honor.
Congratulations.
I'm glad you're finally on with things, Stephen, and you've pooped and farted. I'm more impressed with the fart only because, like, I wanted her to see that, yeah, you're talented on the motorcycle. Yeah, you're talented behind the guitar. Yes, you are talented on the podcast, but you're talented just hanging out, dude, because those farts, I mean, they're worldwidely revered.
They are. I will say, though, she has not seen the full show yet, because that was one that slipped out. I would put that in a normal human category. Mine are percussive.
Yeah.
And I haven't, I broke the cherry there with the brown cherry or whatever you want to call that. But I haven't now just been freely just ripping them to be like, hey, listen to this one. Like, so, I'm easing my way into it. Okay.
Are you waiting for her to release one now? Like, are you going to tell her, like, it's your turn, dude? Please fart in front of me.
That is a very valid question. She apparently is gassy. She had told me that her kids are like, how are you not farting in front of this new guy? Like, how are you getting away with this? So, no, I have not heard her rip one yet. So I guess it's, a little yin and yang, a little give and take.
This is what Rachel, sometimes when she lets us, not even a stinker, but just like a percussive fart, usually I see, holy shit, dude, that is so foul. And her response is always, yeah, you want that in me, dude? Come on. I mean, I got to let it out. I want to let it out. So,
right. Yep. So we've crossed that big threshold. And yes, love is blossoming. And we talk a lot about dating relationships on this show. It's a pretty recurring theme around here. And I find usually a lot of the topics are men kind of getting picked on or beat up, and we're sometimes defending and sometimes agreeing with it. But I found an article this week about things that women don't realize about themselves that men find attractive.
I think there's probably a great list because, I mean, there are things that are odd that if you just said them out loud, like, I think it's so hot when a girl does this, or I think it's so sexy when a girl does this, that they would be like, what? Really? You think that's sexy when I do that? Yeah.
For sure. I mean, everything is perception and individually based, and everyone's different. But I'm curious if we agree with some of these things or not. A good example. I saw an interview with Chelsea Handler, comedian, recently.
Yeah.
The interview may have been years ago, who knows, but she said that there is nothing like more unattractive, more ugly than the sight of a woman bent over. Like the sight of a woman from behind bent over, there's nothing more unattractive than that.
Disagree.
Right? I think there's probably nothing more attractive than the sight of a woman bent over in front of you. Like, this is the perception thing. Like, she's got that in her head. That's a terrible thing. I find that to be extremely rewarding and satisfying and a sign of just, I'm yours. Have at it.
It's welcoming, right? I mean, it's welcome. Yeah, I don't think that's disgusting at all. I guess, I mean, maybe I could picture some scenarios with certain people where it could be kind of gross, but I mean, you know, there's somebody for everyone, so I don't think you got to worry about that, girl.
No. And, you know, I was sort of joking earlier about the maturity thing, the age-related wisdom and whatnot, but we are all aging, and we're into a new phase of life. Nick and I are both 48, so 50's knocking on the door, and Kennedy is 52. I'm probably, no, I was going to say it's the first time I've dated someone older than me, but that's not entirely true, but it's the first sort of long-term relationship with someone older than me, and I'm finding a lot of benefits to it, quite frankly. But first thing on this list here of things that women may not realize men find attractive is changes with advancing age. As women grow older, they often worry about the changes in their appearance. However, men often find these changes to be beautiful as they signify maturity, it's a bad word, experience and confidence. For instance, a few wrinkles, a few silver strands can be seen as signs of wisdom and a life well lived.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, dude. I mean, there's so many times where things are different for men and women. Like Rachel always says to me, like, yeah, like as you get older, you're starting to go silver in your hair. And there's something attractive about that, you know, that men can almost get better looking as they age, and women don't have that same luxury, she feels like. And I think a lot of women feel that way. I would disagree with it. I mean, we've talked to a lot of, she's like, oh, I want to get Botox. I want to fix some of these wrinkles. I was like, those are your badges of honor. This wrinkle right here, yes, I see it. And it's the one you earned while you were over in the military, in the Middle East, in a sandstorm. Like, I like to look at your life and see how well you've lived. And I find it very sexy.
Yeah. No, it's interesting, and there's probably some hypocrisy going on because as I do age, like, see this right here, like when I furrow my brow, like I get these lines right here, like I don't like that at all. But I think you actually pointed out once, like, this is a sign of like maturity. It's a sign of it being an aging man, and there's something confident and good about that. So I may not like them on myself, but Kennedy the other day made a comment of like, maybe I should get a facelift. And I'm just like, no, you look great. Like the wrinkles you see, I don't see them, or I don't see them in the same way you do by any means.
Yes, I think that's exactly right, dude. I don't pretend to not see them because obviously I can see things on your face when I'm looking at you, but we view the same picture completely different, where it makes you self-conscious. It makes me fall more in love with you, you know, and I think that's fairly common for guys to look at their wives and think, well, you know, wow, all these great things that you've done. And our story is right here. And yes, I find you more beautiful. So I wish that women wouldn't feel that way. Your girlfriend, dude, looks so young. It's crazy that she would be talking about getting a facelift. You know what I mean? Like, to me, that's crazy.
She's 52, and I told her the other day, and I'm not joking, like if I had to guess your age, I would have said 42. Like you don't look your age, and if you did, that wouldn't be bad either, but whatever. And I actually find gray hair can be kind of cool and sexy and kind of hip. Like as I've gotten gray in my beard and whatnot, like I'm kind of digging it. I think it looks good. When I was younger, I would have thought gray hair would be terrible, but I've seen some older women that either have streaks of gray or are totally gray. I think it's kind of a cool look. I like it.
Yeah, there's something distinguished about it, and I think women feel more self-conscious about it because in the movies, you dry up. Women constantly have to keep looking good or they're not cast for the roles anymore. And I'm speaking generally, you know what I mean? But I think it is time for women to start really looking at themselves as we see you, because you would see a whole different picture.
Absolutely. We've talked about that before with women's fashion magazines, that women feel like they're dressing for men, but they're really dressing for other women because women are the one critiquing each other. They're the ones putting out fashion stuff in magazines. It's sort of this little weird loop they're in that they don't realize they're in.
And they're the ones judging each other, to be quite frank with you. I'm not saying it doesn't happen male to female, but, you know, a lot of the times it's woman to woman.
Yeah, especially when it does come to fashion. You know, I try to be conscious about telling, you know, my person that, you know, you look great tonight, especially if you're going out for a nice night or whatever. But
yeah,
I remember a couple of years ago, I had someone I was with, and she wore some dress, like work clothes that day. And I don't know. I mean, she was dressing up for a meeting she had. She looked fine, but I didn't point it out. And as the day went on, she got really pissed off of like, how come you haven't commented on this dress I'm wearing? And I was like, I don't know, didn't really stand out to me or whatever, but I don't think people are just going to comment on it. We had this argument as we're walking into a grocery store. As soon as we get in the grocery store, another woman walks by and says, I love the dress you're wearing today, girl. Just like, okay. We both sort of looked dumb there because apparently people do comment, but it was another woman commenting on it. Like that's
right.
That's who women are critiquing. You're critiquing each other.
Yes, 100%. And you know what? A lot of the times, you know what? Maybe you would have commented. I don't know who you're talking about, but I think I have an idea of who you're talking about. Maybe if, like, oftentimes I'll tell Rachel before she leaves to go to work, like, wow, you look great today. Because I want her to feel good as she goes into her day. And I tell her that not only because she looks great, but because I love her. We're in love. You know what I mean? And compliments like that can fly a lot easier if we are actively in love, you know.
I think they stand out too better if every day you look amazing today. Like, I mean,
sure.
You know, there's certain standout days, and I think maybe those, you know, that'll mean a little bit more. But
totally,
I don't know. Next thing on the list, this is an interesting one. Things that women don't realize that men find attractive: chubby cheeks. And I'm not talking about baby got back. I'm talking about the face. Women might fret over their chubby cheeks, thinking that they need to have a slim face to look attractive. Men, however, often find chubby cheeks endearing and youthful, reminding them of natural beauty. I don't know. The chubby cheek thing never stood out as a negative, but I'm not going to claim it stands out as a positive either. I feel neutral on the topic.
I'm all for chubby cheeks. Like, I actually have an opinion on them when it's below the waist cheeks. You know, like I can get in on that opinion. But yeah, I don't think I have an opinion. Chubby cheeks on your face. I mean, yeah, either way.
I'm a bit of an ass man, and some people have called me an ass. But no, I'm into the baby got back thing. But it's you know, thin, round, whatever. It's all beautiful. So I don't have a real opinion on the chubby cheeks on the face. Here's an interesting one, though. Things that women don't realize men find attractive: uneven breasts. Many women feel self-conscious about having uneven breasts, but most men don't even notice the difference. I did not know there was such a thing as uneven breasts. This is a new concept to me.
I know that the majority of breasts are uneven or different sizes. I've known that fact for a long time, but it's not like I look at girls and think like, uneven breasts. I just know it is like a fact from a book. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's weird. I don't have an opinion on uneven breasts or different sizes of breasts. I just, you know, I like a titty. It just needs to be large. You know, I mean.
Right. Nick has walked out famously on women who take off the top and have little itty bitty titties, which that's harsh, man. That is a little harsh. But
hey, I was young, dude.
That is fair. Uneven breasts, though. Are we talking like one's an A cup and one's a C cup? I mean, all of the porn I've ever seen, all of the Hollywood movies, and all of the real life women I've ever seen, I've never noticed any sort of tangible, noticeable size difference.
I think it's more minute than that. I think it's like one's a C breast and the other one's just a tidge smaller. You know, that's per usual. And I don't ever notice it.
And this article is trying to claim that this is something men find attractive. Do you know any guy that's like, I like boobies, but only if one's slightly bigger than the other?
No, dude. That is so weird to me. I'm going to have to ask my wife tonight, like, is one of your boobs smaller than the other? Like, just to find out if she knows, you know?
I mean, when I'm motorboating, I never notice a difference bouncing off the sides of my face, but maybe that's just my perception of things. But
yeah, you got a strong motorboat, dude.
I also don't care about nipple size, areola size. Like, I mean, some uniformity is probably good, and they always seem to be, but I don't really care about any of that stuff. I'm really not a big boob guy.
Well, sorry.
Reference on areolas or nipple size?
Oh, I mean, yes. I mean, I think that the boob just overall, there's so many elements to it that can make it so great. Yeah. I mean, all those factors, dude. All those things factor in. Anyone can bring you ahead in the race and push you back in the race, for best boob.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, please do ask Rachel. I'll have to ask Kennedy. I was completely unaware of the concept of uneven breast, let alone the fact that men would somehow find that attractive.
There's a good idea, dude. I almost know for a fact that I'm right, that most breasts are different, a little different size. You should ask your dad because he would definitely know.
Oh, that's actually a good point. My dad's a breast cancer surgeon, not just some pervert, just in case. Why Nick would say
You
that.
should ask your pervy dad.
Right. So, all right, we'll find out about that. Things that women don't realize men find attractive: cellulite. It's a common concern amongst women, but men rarely view it negatively. To them, it's just a natural part of the body, often overlooked in favor of the overall beauty and warmth of their partner. I would concur. It's overlooked. These are things I do not focus on. And even if I notice it, I just feel like, all right, you're a human. Like, you're not perfect. So I don't have to be perfect either. But cellulite, I mean, I guess I've never been with someone who has just like over the top case of cellulite. But no, little curves, wrinkles, any of that kind of stuff. I don't find that weird.
No.
I find it attractive. I don't say like, oh, baby, let me rub my junk on your cellulite.
I know some people are into that, dude. Some people are into actual cellulite and stuff like that. There's a kink for everything, but I think just sort of mainstream down the line, I think most guys I know would just agree with exactly what you said. Like, yes, I see it, but it doesn't bother me one way or another. Like, it's just part about being a human. And, that's all it is.
Why don't they suck some of that cellulite out and put it into the smaller breast and even those bad boys out?
Well, because the world's not perfect, Steve.
It really is a good commentary, though, that the male mind is easily distracted and blinded. Like, if you're naked, I'm focusing on what I want to focus on. I don't have the attention span to go head to toe and pick you apart. Like, I see what I want to see, and it's the rose-colored glasses, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. I notice women all the time in my life, whether it's my nieces or my sister or my wife. I've seen them staring into the mirror, like up close, just kind of like picking themselves apart, dude. And I mean, it's sad to see it when a young girl does it, or a young guy, I suppose. It's a young person does it, but it lasts all your life. Girls beat themselves up like that and just tear themselves apart. If I really look in the mirror and stare at all of my faults in my face, it would drive me crazy, dude. But I don't ever look at myself that way. Very rarely do I look and be like, ugh, what am I got going on here?
I think I do that.
Do you?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I obsess on it, but I've got a pretty good mental and physical picture of what I'm looking like. But also, as you age, it's really hard to keep track of the subtle changes. It's more alarming to me when I look at a picture of myself 5 years or 10 years ago. Then it really does start to stand out. But on the daily, not so much. But I'm conscious of things. Yeah.
I would implore you to really try and get an understanding of the fact that the way that you see yourself in the mirror is completely different than the way I see you. Because, as someone who cares about you, when I see you, like, I too see the things I want to see. I see your, smile. I see your laugh. Like, no one looks at you the same way as you look at yourself. And that's a fact.
That's definitely a fact. And the one good example I've noticed is, I'm self-conscious about my hair thinning. I'm taking Propecia. Is that what I'm taking? I'm taking some. So because I used to have long, thick hair. I don't want to be bald. I look at so many men, you being one of them, that tells me like I'm thinning, I'm bald. And I look at you, I'm like, you don't look bald to me. You got hair in your head. Like, I don't look at it. People don't look at you the same way you look at yourself, just like you were saying. And hair thinning is one of them where I'm like, you seem to have a full head of hair to me. Didn't even occur to me that you're thinning or receding or anything else. Doesn't even fall on the radar.
It's funny, dude. And that's, our partners in our life should realize that that's how we look at you, too. We don't look at you to look for your faults. Everyone should be a little less self-conscious. It'd be a great world if we could all be that way.
I think oral sex outweighs all that stuff. So that's just my advice. Men and women. Just more oral. Everything looks good after a nice little round.
Solves the problem, yeah.
Speaking of using your mouth, things that women don't realize men find attractive. I know women have said this is an attractive quality in me. A deep voice. Well, some women might wish for a higher pitched voice. A more feminine voice, quote unquote. Men often find deeper voices to be incredibly attractive.
You hear it a lot, dude. People always say on the radio, we've been on the radio together for years, that sometimes they can't tell us apart. I don't get deep voice compliments. People will oftentimes tell me, oh, you got a good voice. I like your voice or whatever. But it's not often that I'm like, oh, your voice is so deep. But you seem to get it a lot, dude.
I get it all the time on a weekly basis. Someone will, in some retail store or whatever, I open my mouth. They're like, whoa, listen to that voice. You should be on the radio.
Right.
And, my old joke now is, well, I am on the radio. I'm glad I didn't become a dentist, or I'd be living my whole life with everyone telling me I should have been on the radio.
Right.
So, it works well for me. But I guess there is something about that smooth jazz voice, as we call it in the world of radio, the women with that deep voice. But I also picture them chain smoking in a dark room and
I don't think so, dude. Even those people that chain smoke and have those great voices, sometimes you just have a great voice, dude. Whether you smoke or not, whether it's natural or an aged voice, whatever it might be, I think it's a nice compliment. And I do think women focus on guys' voices. I think that it's a good thing to have.
I think it can be an attractive quality. Never have I heard a woman with any sort of high pitch or mid range thing where I'm like, damn, I wish you had a voice like I do. That's right. It's not a thing, but there are some women that pull it off. But yeah, the radio women I know with the smooth jazz voice, they're not attractive women. So maybe that made that connection.
100.
You remember the episode of Friends where Phoebe got cold or something? She got a deep, raspy voice. Yeah. And then she lost it at the end of the episode. She wanted that deep voice back and was licking everything to try to get sick or whatever.
Right. She wanted to get it back. So, yeah.
All right. Next on the list. And again, these are things that women don't realize that men find attractive. We've agreed with some, but not all. Hip dips. I don't know if I know what a hip dip is. Hip dips are often a point of insecurity of women. Men usually see them as an attractive feature. Hip dips highlight a woman's natural curves and unique body shape. What the hell is a hip dip?
I think it is when this is only a guess because I don't know, but I think it is when sometimes it's you look at a woman and you think oh, she's got childbirthing hips. I think it is just those curves where it dips in and dips out. That's all I can imagine. The woman's body is a beautiful thing. So yeah, I would agree with that. Whatever a hip dip is, if I have it right, yeah, we do find that attractive.
So I just Googled it because I seriously don't exactly know what it is, but it's basically saying hip dips are the curve of a woman's hips. If they have the more hourglass feature, that's more of a dip as opposed to kind of a straight line going down their curves. I don't know. I'm not into hips. I am an ass man, so I want the curves in the right place, but I've never put any thought into the size of a woman's hips. It's certainly not something I would list on my top 100 attractive qualities.
You just want them curvy in their butt. You don't necessarily care that they're curvy all the way down.
Yeah, I don't need the hourglass feature thing. I mean, it's there, I guess, but otherwise, no, I don't notice that.
And how can you put a list together? This is what every guy finds attractive. Some people are going to find the hip dip attractive. I'm one of them. You're not.
I guess the opposite of the hip dip is next on the list, and that's love handles. Love handles might be a source of frustration for women, but men often find them charming. They give a sense of softness and comfort.
I heard when your wife or partner is getting ready for work, like if you go up and pinch them, that they like that.
You poke them like the Pillsbury Doughboy.
Right, dude. These are all things, dude, that women are so insecure about, and they shouldn't be. Because, yes, love handles. Love handles are fine. I love the love handles. That's why they're called love handles.
Right. And I will tell you, so many women are anti-porn, or at least they tell me that. I don't know. Because we read an article a while ago saying that every woman watches porn, which is totally not true. But if women ever need to feel better about their body type, go to any porn site on planet Earth. You will find every body type there is, and the zillions of men jerking off to every type.
Yes. Yeah. Something for everybody, dude. There's no reason anymore to be self-conscious. That goes for guys, too. I can't remember what I was watching. Oh, we were watching a TV show or something, and there was this little hottie on TV, and she was like, I'm attracted to a portly guy. Like, I like a guy with a big stomach. I like a guy who's a little overweight. And I was like, yeah, that's interesting. That's how people feel, dude. That, yeah, all types that people love.
Yes. And I think things can change over time.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I'm in really good shape right now. If I gain 20 pounds, is Kennedy going to leave me or something? Like,
yeah, you would hope not.
Yeah, you would hope not, but people can change, and so can preferences. I didn't think gray hair was attractive in my 20s, but as I've gotten older, I do think it's attractive. So, you know.
Well, you're getting wise, Stephen. You're becoming an elder, really.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate that. How about this one? Minor tooth imperfections. Apparently men find this attractive. Perfect teeth are often seen as a standard of beauty, but minor imperfections can add character to a unique smile.
Jewel made a whole living off it, dude. I mean, everyone thought Jewel was a little cutie, and her teeth looked like a car accident.
Looked like a piano keyboard after somebody hit it with a sledgehammer. Yeah, but
it's cute.
I wouldn't call that a minor imperfection, by the way. She had Austin Powers kind of teeth. Again, if you're an attractive woman and she's a talented woman and all that stuff, like that shines above everything else. If she was just some mediocre woman and everything else and she had these horrible teeth, then maybe they would stand out more. But I'm not going to go as far as to say I find it sexy, but I don't hold it against. I've never held that against women.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I could find it attractive, but like you said, it may not be as attractive on a person that wasn't attractive to begin with, to my liking. But yeah, I think it could be an attractive thing. Look at Michael Strahan. Is that the guy who's on TV that's got the big gap between his teeth, that they always talk about? And people, I mean, that's kind of become one of his trademarks, dude. And people think he's a nice looking guy and they like the gap in his teeth. So,
yeah, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but in my, adventures in dating in the last 5 years of my life, and actually with my ex-wife too, when we first started dating, I have had women say to me early in the dating thing, like, hey, let me see your teeth. Smile for me big. Like, let me check that out. And I did have braces, so my teeth are pretty good. One of my teeth kind of moved on one point, but I've had several women like, let me see your teeth. And I smile and they're like, okay, no, you look good. You look good. Because I don't like men that don't have nice teeth. I'm like, seriously? I'm glad, I guess I have nice teeth, but it's the old, you don't look a gift horse in the mouth. That's what that thing means is, horse's teeth has something to do with the value. So if it's a gift horse, you don't look it in the mouth and critique their teeth. But I have felt like I've been treated like a horse by multiple women.
That's crazy that they asked to see your teeth. I would do bad with that because it's one of my insecurities over the years. Some of the medication I'm on really has ruined my teeth, dude. And it's definitely one of my insecurities. So if someone asked to see my teeth, I mean, I think they look fine when you look at them. But if you were to go in a microscope in my mouth and really look at my teeth, you'd be horrified, dude. So yeah, otherwise I'm a real nice guy, you bitch.
Right. I will tell you, and I don't know if I should be sensitive how I explain the story or not, but one of my exes met my ex-wife's guy, who she's not with anymore. This is her ex, but after the first time she met him, she immediately said, like, that guy used to be a meth addict. And I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, his teeth. You don't see how messed up his teeth are? And first of all, no, I didn't notice his freaking teeth. But she, as a woman critiquing this new guy, somehow immediately noticed his teeth.
Yeah, it's interesting, dude. I think it really is. There's some women who really look at guys' teeth like that, you know? And that is usually the connotation that if you have messed up teeth, that you've had some sort of addiction problem. And that's not always the case. Some people are born with better teeth than some others. And some people could afford to get braces. Some people couldn't. And some people have done drugs. Some people have prescription drugs that fuck with their teeth. Like, it's a big assumption to make.
The funny thing about that story was I immediately defended the guy. Of just like, how dare you critique him on his teeth and think that he has a meth problem? Like, it's really judgmental of you. And of course, it turned out the guy was a meth addict in his teenage years, and that's absolutely why his teeth are messed up. So
it's not that it can never be true. It's just shouldn't be your first guess about the person.
Exactly. Moving on with things that women don't realize men find attractive. A little stomach chub, it says, may give you a chub. Little stomach chub is something many women worry about, striving for flat abs instead. However, men often find a bit of belly to be very attractive.
Hey, dude, look at all the pictures. It used to be if you had a little more weight on you, that was the attractive woman, right? Yes. I mean, we used to paint them all the time, and we have paintings of them to show that. Somewhere we got off course with that. And again, I don't want to put anybody down. If you really care about keeping your body slim and trim and that makes you feel good, that's great. There's going to be someone who loves it. But don't just assume because you have a little belly that a guy's not going to find that great. You know, because I definitely do. I don't mind that at all.
Yes. There's something sexy about some curves on a woman, you know, when done correctly. This thing points out a little chub. We're not talking about someone who's obese.
Sure.
I mean, I guess at some point, any of these things, you know, a little crooked teeth can be kind of cute. You know, the terrible mouth is going too far. And I've heard multiple women say this, and I have been with some curvy women. And again, it's just the rose-colored glasses. Like, I'm focusing on what I like about you. I'm not sitting there nitpicking you, and just having a little gut or something is I don't disqualify that at all.
These are things, dude, that like you said, we're not going all the way over this line and being like, yeah, you're 500 pounds. Like, I think it's beautiful, but no one is perfect, and the fact that you feel like you should have to be that way for someone to find you perfect or to find you attractive is crazy.
Absolutely. It definitely is crazy. And I guess I'm glad we're pointing some of these things out, not only to maybe say whether or not we agree or disagree if men find these attractive, but hopefully some women are hearing some of these things and maybe it'll make them feel a little less self-conscious.
Yeah.
Let me throw two out here together, and then I'll throw it over to you. These are things women don't realize that men find attractive. Being a good listener and having intelligent conversation and having a sense of humor. Of course we find these things attractive. What kind of douchebag guy would not want a woman who can have an intelligent conversation with you, or you don't find it attractive if she's funny? Like, I find those things to be very attractive. So, yes, I'm absolutely going to agree with that. But any woman who's got that notion that they shouldn't have an opinion or tell a joke, like, I don't know what terrible dad you had or what abusive ex-boyfriend you had, but get that crap out of your head.
Please, dude. All those things you just mentioned are the highest on my list, dude. I mean, they can make somebody who is even not as physically attractive more physically attractive if they have all those qualities in them. Why would I want to be with someone who can't have a great, deep, thought-provoking conversation or be funny, dude? I can't be the only one in this house keeping us rolling all the time, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. Yes, in order to balance our good intellectual content and sense of humor, yeah, you got to have someone that can hang with you and go back. And yeah, there's some stand-up comedians who, yeah, I mean, they're just that much sexier because they are funny and they're owning. And yes, I love women that have good, strong opinions and can have an intellectual conversation with you. So yeah, women, get that crap right out of your head.
Please get it out of your head.
We are saving society yet again, Nick. Do you see the good we're doing?
God. I feel it. I don't only see it, I feel it. I feel the world changing around us. And this is what you get when you tune in to The Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve. We've been doing this for over 20 years, ladies and gentlemen. We know what we're doing.
And, you know, not every relationship can be perfect, but some of these things, some of these imperfections, they are perfect. What's that song? I love all your perfect imperfections. I think it's apropos.
Yeah, I think so too. Hey, listen, dude, I came across an article that we both kind of laughed at the title because it's just kind of, I don't know if it's awkwardly stated or if it's just a little off. This is different ways to be happy in an unhappy marriage that you don't want to leave. So in essence, what I gather from this is that this is to save your marriage, maybe? These are some things.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the king of sticking out unhappy relationships too long, which is something I'm working very hard on never doing again. But yeah, I struggle with, is this article going to help us if you're in an unhealthy or unhappy relationship, ways to fix that, or ways to just be in denial and get around it and ignore the bad?
Right.
Because that seems extremely unhealthy if that's what this is trying to preach. But so
it's interesting, dude, because it is a fine line, as you know, that like, yes, every great marriage is going to ebb and flow. Like you're going to have moments where you feel, you know, like you guys are clicking 100% and sometimes it's 80%. But those are ebbs and flow of marriage. But when it gets bad where you feel like you don't want to be there anymore, like, I don't know, maybe work on it for a little bit. And then if it doesn't work better for you, you should probably get out because you can't stay too long, right?
Right. So if this is trying to justify an unhealthy or toxic relationship, then that's no bueno. But yeah, so hit me. What are they pointing out?
Do you have any solo hobbies? Are there any solo hobbies that you've always wanted to try but have never found the right opportunity to do so? Now is an excellent time to dive into them. Give yourself some time away from the stress of an unhappy marriage. Those small breaks where you can focus on something else, learn something new, and have some reprieve from the stress, they can help you become in a happier, better mental spot.
Interesting. If you're unhappy in your relationship, spend less time with that person by
doing fun shit by yourself.
Right. That's what I'm hearing from that suggestion. I mean, everyone should have hobbies. Sometimes you can do them together. And yeah, sometimes solo hobbies are obviously good, but not if it's an excuse to get away. I never thought that I would be that husband or dad or whatever that hung out in the garage all the time, because I always felt like that was the dad who was unhappy and just wanted to be alone in the garage. Now, I will tell you, my favorite room in my house is my garage. It's where my dirt bikes are. I love doing maintenance out there. I love riding the dirt bikes. Like, I fell into that habit, not out of wanting to get away from the wife or the kids or whatever, but yeah, a lot of guys do that, and that seems terrible to me.
Listen, I think that there is a happy middle in here, because I look at this more as saying, you know what, if you have stopped immersing yourself in solo activity, solo hobbies, stuff like that, maybe try taking them up again. Maybe do some things just for yourself, because in general, it makes you a happier person to be around.
Yes.
You know, like we're assuming from the title of this that you're tired of that bitch, but she could be tired of you as well. Like maybe this is how to re-engage as a couple. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess. Are you using a hammer to build a house or to bludgeon someone to death? So I guess there can be good and bad ways to look at all of these things. But you're not happy with your wife, spend less time with her. Problem solved.
Hey, these are ways to be happy in an unhappy marriage that you don't want to leave. You're trying to make it better, apparently. How about engaging in self-improvement and exercise? Self-improvement, a great way to build your self-esteem and personal happiness. Find an exercise routine that works well for you and make it a regular part of your life. Learn how to meditate, follow some guided meditations, work on fixing your personal problems that are preventing you from living a happier life. These things are likely to make your marriage better as well.
Yeah. I don't know. My bullshit detector's going off here a little bit.
It is.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm in an unhappy marriage and I decide to get into good shape, how is that rippling into the relationship? Unless your wife thought you were fat and overweight and not attractive. And then that gets back to what we were talking about earlier. Like, if you love me unconditionally, which is what a marriage is supposed to be, then whether I'm bald or fat or thin or whatever shouldn't actually matter. So, I mean, listen.
No, dude, no. You have to be the first to admit that you exercise as much for your mental stability as you do for your physical health. Is that not right?
I was just about to say that later in life here, as I've gotten into exercise, I started for my mental well-being, and it does wonders working up a good sweat, getting your heart rate up, endorphins going. Like, yeah, that is definitely good for your mental health. But is my mental health why I'm in an unhappy relationship? That seems to be what they're saying.
Well, it could be. Maybe you're not very enjoyable to be around, and maybe she isn't either. If you have your mental well-being as a priority for you, maybe you do start connecting again because, you're not such a shitbag to be around.
I don't know. If I lose a bunch of weight and get all buff, why do I want to be with this woman who's been ragging on me for years or whatever it is?
This is a great exercise, no pun intended, in perception of things. As someone who has been divorced and left a marriage that maybe should have ended earlier, maybe it shouldn't have, and someone who is still married, you're seeing this from a completely different light than I am. And why wouldn't you? That's the experience of life, right?
No, I mean, that's fair. I think I would just be different if I went to my wife and said, hey, maybe we should both start jogging. Maybe we should both go do these things together and we'll feel better and we'll look better together. There should be some balance there. It just seems a little weird to say that one of you should go exercise and get in shape, and maybe that'll solve the problem for both of us.
Yeah, and maybe people are reading this list together. I don't know, but it's about getting yourselves healthy so you can show up for each other. I don't know.
Again, it sounds like just spend less time with that bitch. If you're in go jog, go learn how to yodel, get out of the damn house, and you'll be just fine.
There's a purpose behind it, dude. These are ways to be happy in an unhappy marriage that you don't want to leave. How about practicing a little gratitude, you grouchy bastard? Gratitude is such a powerful tool for improving personal happiness. Far too often, we find ourselves focusing on what we don't have, what our lives are lacking, and what we want more of. The problem with that is there's always something more to want. It's an eternal treadmill. We have to make a conscious decision and choice to step off, find some inner peace and happiness, find some gratitude.
I mean, the old grass is always greener on the other side. The fence complex is definitely a toxic way to look at things. That maybe I can find someone better. Maybe there's someone even more perfect for me out there. That's not good. But the ones, I guess I worry that these things are one-sided because I've been in relationships before where I'll be like, thank you so much for doing the dishes, and I noticed you paid the electric bill. Like, you're freaking all-star. And the response is, yeah, thanks.
Yes. Yeah.
Got anything you want to say back to me, or am I just lavish you in praise all the time? It doesn't have to be that in the moment, but it should be some balance. And I feel like, again, this is sounding lopsided.
I don't think they are saying that you should find some gratitude, be grateful for your partner doing the dishes. I think this is about finding gratitude in your own life to get out of this cycle of that, I have a shitty life, about focusing more on some of the great things you have and it changing your perspective.
Yeah, that's fair. Is Menage a Trois going to show up on this list? I mean, is that going to help?
I don't know.
You don't want to stay in.
We'll find out. This is good. Maybe you'll like this one. This is a list of ways to be happy in an unhappy marriage that you don't want to leave. How about stop fighting about the same fucking thing all the time? Yeah. There are times when something breaks in a relationship that takes a long time to put back together. You may find yourself fighting with your partner in circles over a particular thing, and that argument never seems to go anywhere. At some point, you have to decide whether or not in this particular time to put that battle down. Is it worth fighting over anymore? And saying no.
Interesting. Conflict resolution is a key element to any successful relationship. But there is this whole yes dear thing, I remember my high school commencement speech. The guy, it was a classmate, he said, the best thing my dad ever taught me was, happy wife, happy life. And I've always hated that concept. That, I mean, it maybe if it worked both ways, happy wife, happy husband, happy life, but it always feels one-sided, like the guy has to be the one to concede.
Sure.
The principle of that kind of bothers me, but there are absolutely certain arguments that are just, it's not the hill to die on. Like, it's just not worth it. You shouldn't condescend with literally saying yes, dear, but picking your battles, there is definitely some wisdom to that.
And I think you're right. There should be displayed, and I know that Rachel practices this too with me, that like, yes, when Nick does that, that annoys me. Is this, am I going to let this ruin our day? Is it even worth mentioning? I know that's him at this point. He's not going to change, you know.
Yeah. But no, I mean, the bigger concept there of arguing correctly or conflict resolution correctly, that's huge. But again, all of these things, if they're one-sided, you're just tricking yourself into buying another week before you're going to want to throw her out a window or whatever, you know?
Yes. Well, if you are in an unhappy marriage and you don't want to leave, you want to get happy again, you should get out of the house more often, apparently.
A recurring theme going on here. The bigger question is, why don't you want to leave? You know, I heard a comedian years ago saying, like, you know, I'm mainly staying with my wife because all my stuff's here. Like, you don't want to pay me to move? Oh, my gosh. Like, I'm just going to stay.
Dude, and that's the real thing. I mean, I've known people that have been like, you know what a pain it would be to leave at this point? It's very short-sighted, obviously. But people do that, dude. I do know people do that.
Yeah, I feel like at least half the people in whatever this little test group is should probably just leave the relationship. I can point to a couple of things, my marriage being one of them, where I would have stayed in it forever. I would have fought for it to keep going. But now that it's over and I look back, you know, hindsight's 2020, you realize, like, yeah, I was putting up a lot of stuff that really sucks. Like, I don't know why I was doing that. I should try to find someone I'm better matched with. So sometimes you don't want to convince yourself to stay. You should convince yourself to leave. Yeah,
well, I think the thing that people need to think about is sometimes when you've been in a relationship that's going like that, poorly, and you've been putting up with a lot of stuff, sometimes you don't feel worthy of leaving. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is after you get out of the situation and you can see, like, hey, I actually am a good person. Like, people like me. You know, you can get out from under that cloud a little bit and then understand, yeah, I'm worthy. You should always feel worthy.
Absolutely. Or just do some yoga, apparently. You'll be fine. So.
Yeah, show a little gratitude, you grouchy bastard. How about developing a social life? Do you think that'd help? These are starting to be things.
Yes, if you develop a healthy social life with someone you're better matched with, I think it'll do wonders.
It'll do wonders, dude.
Everyone needs a friend circle. Yes. I mean, that's definitely something you should have.
I think that's really important, dude. I know that we've talked a lot about as you get older, if you don't meet friends at work or if you don't have friends from when you went to high school or whatever from your younger years, that it's tough to make friends. And a relationship without other people in your life that you're friends with is doomed for failure, I would say, most of the time.
Mm-hmm. I understand making your person your whole life, quote unquote, but if it's literally that way, that's gonna run afoul at some point. And yeah, I think you need a little away time. And hobbies, you know, like dirt bikes are one of my main hobbies, right? And Kennedy has started to go ride with me because I have other, you know, motorized vehicle toys here. And I think that is phenomenal. I think it is so sexy and fun to go ride with her, but that does not mean that every time I want us to go ride together. It's okay to draw some boundaries every now and again and say, hey, I'm going to go out with Nick tonight. Like, it's nothing against you, obviously. We don't need to be together attached to the hip 24/7. Go have some fun. I'm not insecure. I'll see you tomorrow.
Totally. Yeah, that should always be that way. Where, yes, I want to do things with Rachel. She's my best friend. I want to go do that kind of cool shit with her. But I don't want her to come with you and I going to do that thing every time. Sometimes, sure. But I want to spend some alone time with people, too. She does as well. This is a list of things that you should do to be happy in an unhappy marriage that you don't want to leave. Apparently, you should maintain a reasonable expectation for your happiness. I mean, this is really starting to go negative quickly.
A reasonable expectation. That is a wide open term.
Yeah.
And you're setting yourself up to fail. What if what you think is reasonable is not what they think? Like, should we be having sex once a day, once a week, once a month? How often is oral? How often is that? Like, you better discuss these standards or you're setting yourself up to fail.
Well, and also, like, I understand, you know, like I said before, every marriage, every relationship for that matter, is going to have ebbs and flows to it. So, like, sometimes it's not as great as it is other times. But you should not lower your expectation of what real happiness is to you as a person, to be like, oh, I don't need to be that happy. I'll stay married or I'll stay in this relationship. This author writes, a marriage is a big commitment that'll take up a big part of your mind and your emotions. It's reasonable to be unhappy that your marriage is unhappy, though you can do things to help maintain some happiness and peace of mind while you're working through that rocky time. It's essential not to fall into a pattern of avoidance about fixing your relationship. It's easy to distract and focus on yourself too much to the detriment of your marriage and commitment. They won't get solved solo. That's what you said. You got to do these things together, dude. You got to resolve them together.
Absolutely. And again, I have a history. In my marriage, our sexual chemistry was not what I wanted. And I convinced myself at some point that I must have too high of expectations. So I have to dial it back. Or I was in another relationship with